Welcome to the program.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, we're very, very happy to have you because you have broken just about every record known to the opera world. Let's start with, you're here in London doing La Traviata. How important is it for you at this stage in your career to be doing this opera here in London?
Well, Covent Garden is, of course, one of the great opera houses, so at the Royal Opera House. I have been singing since, it was 71.
Wow.
71 was my debut. And I have been coming very, very, very often, And Traviata, of course, now, as you know, I have been over half century singing tenor repertoire, but now in the last 8 years or 9, I have been singing baritone roles. And the part of the baritone in Traviata, even before I used to sing the son, now I sing the father. But it's one of the most beautiful duets with Violetta and the father. Is the, you can say this is the heart of Traviata, that big duet, and I love it.
So you used to play Alfredo?
Yes, Alfredo.
As a tenor?
Yes, yes.
And now you play the dad?
Yes.
As a baritone?
Yes.
How does that sit with you? I mean, it's not necessarily a choice. It's because as you get older, I think, your voice changed, right?
Well, I sang so much. I mean, I did a whole career as a tenor, doing all the repertoire that I could do, And I find out that when it will be the time to leave the career, I realized that my voice was in good shape. But of course, the tessiture of the tenor is quite higher, But I find that my voice was healthy, and then I start singing the baritone roles, and I feel very, very, very confident. And I have done like 10 different baritone roles, and I'm adding more characters. So I'm enjoying it so much.
What you're saying is, as the critics have said, it's not just unusual, it is unprecedented. You have performed more roles than anybody in the history of opera. I think you're on your 150th role, is that right? The previous record is something like 50 or 60. I mean, nobody's come anywhere close to that.
Well, I was always very, very curious about different repertoire. I tell you, there is so much music in this world that I would need 3 or 4 lives to accomplish all what I would like to sing. It is so amazing.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but you're 78 years old. Opera stars don't last until they're 78 years old. The New York Times wrote that it's as if Tom Brady was still winning Super Bowls in his 50s while playing 3 sports all at once. Have you ever thought about retiring?
I know it will arrive, but I have such a deep life with music, singing, conducting, and I am also the general director of the opera in Los Angeles. And of course, one of the things that at my heart very, very deep and very close is the competition of Operalia, which we have been doing it 26 years already. And I'm so proud that big percentage of the big stars, big names all around the world, they have been coming out from Operalia. And right now they want to start in one in Oman. And
really, in Oman?
Yes.
In the Persian Gulf?
Yes.
Wow.
And also in Beijing also.
If you go all the way back to the 3 tenors, when you first did that with Jose Carreras and Luciano Pavarotti, just describe that for a moment. What was it like when you got together? I think it was 1990 in Rome.
Yeah, it was 1990 in Rome, for the World Cup. The story is that Jose was 1 year was out of singing because he was having leukemia, and he was treated in Seattle, and it was very difficult time, and he came back. He came back
He
to life.
survived.
So, and we want to welcome him back, and so we organized this concert, and it was wonderful. We have a lot of fun. We thought it was going to be only once, but then there were a lot of requests, and we did close to 30 concerts,
And not just that, you sold tens of millions of albums, and you're credited with really making opera something that ordinary people suddenly understood, liked, and came to.
Well, I think many people discover opera because of listening to the three tenors, So
How does that make you feel?
it makes me feel very happy, very proud, and those were wonderful days, and we enjoy. So.
You recently celebrated 50 years of performing at the Metropolitan Opera in New York.
Yeah,
in this fall, there was an event to celebrate that.
Yes.
You got to your knees and touched the stage during your performance there to mark that. It must have been really emotional. I mean, that's almost like a prayer. It's almost like an act of worship.
I don't know if you have something, then when you go out of the studio and you are going to come back, you love something, you touch something, you see to the camera and say, I hope I see you tomorrow, I hope I see you next week. So when I finish my performances at a certain theater, the Metropolitan, La Scala, Vienna, Los Angeles, the Covent Garden in London, I go and I kneel on the stage and I pray and I sing. If I know what I'm going to sing the next time, I sing the first phrase of that opera. If I don't know, I simply vocalize, I sing a little bit. But it is a tradition that I have kept all my career.
Well, we're not in an opera house, and this isn't the end of a performance. Do you fancy singing a few bars now?
If I was going to sing next time Traviata, like I'm going to do it now in Covent Garden, I will just go on my knees and say, Madamigella Valeri, and I will make the cross. And I will pray that I will be back in that theater, singing that role, because that's what I have on contract. And if not, I just sing anything.
That was pretty amazing. That was pretty amazing what you just did. Take me back to where it all began. You were born in Madrid.
Yes.
And your parents were both singers of the Spanish opera.
Yes.
What is it called?
It is called zarzuela. Zarzuela. It is very, very good music, not as deep as the opera. And the difference is that in the zarzuela, in most of them, it's not tragedy.
Yeah.
Everything finished fine. And it's, of course, the triangle, the two ladies that love the same man, or the two men that they love the same girl.
So you loved so much listening to your parents and that whole environment that made you at that time want to be a singer, an opera singer?
Well, I start to know a little later about opera, and then I went to audition, and they told me, yes, you can sing opera. So I started, and here I am.
Well, here you are, yes, 50
After
years
few
later.
years.
But there's a lot of road that brought you to here, including obviously when you were young, your parents moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
You moved to Mexico, and I believe you did your professional debut in 1959 in Mexico City.
Yeah, that's right.
And then several years later, again about Mexico, you were abroad performing, and there was a massive earthquake in Mexico City. And the whole world remembers it. I remember where I was when that earthquake happened. But for you, it was very personal. You had family members who were caught in that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And you rushed back.
Yeah, unfortunately, I lost four relatives. And being there, I mean, it was really terrible because we came back every day, and my auntie, her son was living there, and the brother of my auntie and my mother, and the wife, and then I realized that it was a lot of people there that not only they lost their relatives, but they have lost either their parents or parents that they have lost their children, and they don't have anything, you know. So then we decide to do something, you know, and I stay quite a lot of time there. And then the whole year we were making concerts, you know, to support the people.
You decided to do concerts that benefited the people of that community. I mean, for a whole year you did that.
Yeah.
I wonder what you think about the role of art and music and opera at any time, but particularly in turbulent times, particularly in very tense times, very difficult times and hard times. I've interviewed a few movie directors, you know, some of them have got all these sort of new films focusing on art and other things. And one director said that he felt focusing on art sort of gave him hope. Art and the power of art was hopeful in these times. Do you have any reflections on the meaning of art?
I believe that there is something that when the public is attending a performance, an opera, a symphony, a musical, you know, wherever, in that moment they forget about their problems. They sit there, no difference, no races, no color, no religions. They sit nearby and they are with you. They are with you. I believe that in those moments, people can be relaxed, can for that time, they can, you know, say, well, I'm not thinking about my problems, my troubles, you know, what is going on the world, you know, no. I'm just now concentrate here. I believe at the moment of performance, yes. If, generally speaking, we could help, that I don't know. That I don't know. Unfortunately, we are living a very difficult time.
You've once said, one of your mottos is, if I rest, I rust. Apparently in 1972, even in 1972, according to the New York Times, Maria Callas told you that you're singing too much. What do you think she meant? Why did she say that?
Well, I don't know, but I tell you, I think that every person is different, you know. Every throat is also different, you know. As I tell you, people, the great artists, but maybe they were happy of doing 20 operas because they were specialists on that. I was so thrilled. I'm so happy that I have been able to do so many.
And that you can still do it, and that you haven't clung to just to the tenor. You've realized when you have to change, right?
Yeah.
Because from what I read, the tenors get all the hero roles, and the baritones don't get all the hero roles.
Well, no, there are most of them. There are the villains, but I'm choosing some of the characters and fathers. There are a lot of father figures, and that I love.
What do you think your legacy is? What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, very especially with the Young Artist Program and with the Operalia competition, to continue that way, to help to develop the career of many young artists. I think the music is what I can do, and of course we can all do many different things which are important. There are problems in life, there are many things, and they call you to help. And I think that every human being can do something, you know. Sometimes people say they ask them to help for something. They say, but what can I do? I mean, it's very little. Nothing is too little, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little bit of in the desert, a little bit of earth make a desert, or a drop of water it makes an ocean. But if people say no, I cannot, it's not. Everybody can help.
Plácido Domingo, thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, Christiane.
Really great pleasure.
Thank you very much.